want to talk to you about what's happening in Spain because the streets of Spain have turned into chaos. Locals are clashing with migrant gang members. Let's just take a look at what's unfolded. Now, this all kicked off after an elderly man was randomly and brutally beaten up by three members of an African gang on Saturday, and this sparked outrage in the community. Now we're seeing violent clashes play out between migrant gangs and locals. Some of the vision is confronting, including vision of protesters wearing masks and shooting fireworks in the streets. Multiple people have been arrested after many nights of violence now. Can I get your reaction to what's been unfolding here?
Sadly, not surprised. A 68-year-old man gets attacked by a gang of migrants, and the police are cracking down. They're cracking down, but they're cracking down on the people who are tired, who are fed up with their country being invaded. I feel for Europe, and I have a lot of fear for Europe because I believe Europe has laid down. They have laid down without a fight. I've never seen in the history, I've studied history. I've never heard of a continent being taken over by inviting the invaders in. Could you imagine they invited the Huns in back in the ancient times? Just come in, guys. Come in, Attila. It's okay. What's happening here, you can't, and look, politically correct or not, you cannot take people from the third world, stick them in the first world countries and say, okay, go ahead. There's no assimilation. There's nothing. And you have these random acts of violence, and then the police crack down on the people who are fed up. Look, I'm pro-immigration. I'm an American. My family are immigrants. I believe in immigration legally and through assimilation. And that's not what's happening here. What we have is just a flood of people who are fundamentally changing what it means to be European. European, unlike the United States was built on multiculturalism. Europe wasn't built that way. Europe had people who are specifically homogenous to these regions. They have the same culture. They have the same, things that they do, the same religious beliefs. And you just shoved millions of people in. And not only did you shove them in without any assimilation, but you're giving them preferential treatment. It's not just Spain, it's all across Europe. What's happening in Spain is just an example of what's been happening in Europe. The fact that they're arresting people on what they want to call the far right, and I like to call the common sense, but they call it the far right because that sounds dangerous. They're arresting those people who are finally saying, look, we're fed up. We're not racists. We're not haters, but we want safety in our own country. It's absolutely absurd. It's absurd what's happening there.
Well, illegal migration to Spain has increased by 82% in the last 3 years. And it's interesting to note how this is playing out in the media. It's not getting all that much attention. And the articles that I have been seeing, look at the New York Times, and it's police arrest far-right leader after anti-immigration riots in the Spanish town. I mean, what's your assessment of the media's role in this?
The media is the biggest purveyors of, I can't say that word on TV, but nonsense in the whole Western Hemisphere and in the world. The media likes to cultivate the narrative. If you control the narrative, you control the message. And if you control the message, you control the people. So you say far right, these anti-immigrant protesters have been arrested, and then they're far right. And they're, again, far right, that harkens back to World War II and Germany and things like that. And that gets people scared. That's not what these people are. These are people that want to protect their country. They want to protect. Spain has a beautiful and rich history. It is a beautiful country. It is. My nephew was just in Italy, and he's telling me, he's like, it's nothing like. I mean, he's been going there for decades. He's like, it's you could see the change. It's not the Italy we know, and it's the same thing happening in Spain, and it's such a culture shock, and it's happening so fast that it's just dangerous. And the media plays the biggest role in this because the media wants you to feel guilty for being somebody who wants to protect your country. And so when the New York Times puts out an article like that, that's not just about Spain. Believe me, it's also about America.
Mm.
It's also about saying it's the bad guys who don't want these immigrants. And by the way, they always say immigrants. They never say illegal immigrants. They mix them. The immigrants and illegal immigrants to them are the same thing. But to us on the right, it's not the same thing. We welcome legal immigrants. And no, so the media is playing a horrible role in this, but I will say they're playing the role that they've been playing for years. This is what the media does. So to that end, they're being very successful because they're doing what it is they do.
Broadcaster and commentator Carmine Sabia, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really great to get your thoughts.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.